In this video, I want to talk about the ego trap and how our pride can easily hold us back from ever achieving the goals that we've set out to achieve or that next level of growth that we're working towards reaching in our online business. And in particular, for those of you here that are online coaches, creators, or aspiring leaders, I want to share with you today a transparent look at my journey in going from zero to building the multiple six-figure coaching business that I have today, how ego has affected me along my journey, and the mindset shifts that I had to make to break away from this ego trap and put myself in a position to achieve the success that I have today. So as we dive into today's topic on how to avoid the ego trap, where I'd like to begin is honestly having everybody here watching, thinking back to when you were first beginning your entrepreneurship journey. Some of you watching here now may be just getting started. Some of you here now maybe have gotten started years ago and you're kind of in an intermediate phase of your online business. But the reality is when I look back, at least for me personally, at my own journey and my first year of kind of pursuing this idea of building an income online and building my own online business, it was when my ego was almost at its lowest point. But there was still something affecting me that was holding me back at the time, and I'll explain that next. But the reason my ego was at the lowest point is because I didn't have biases in my head. I didn't have the knowledge and perspective that I needed then in the early stages that was making me say, you know what, I don't need this, I don't need that. Instead, I was almost just like a sponge that was really attracted to everything that I was seeing and everything that I was learning about because it was new, because it was exciting, and because I didn't have that perspective in place yet. But that aside, I think at the core, what it really comes back to is, aside from not knowing what to invest into, I also didn't know who I could really trust to put that money into. At the time for me, I was a college kid, didn't have a ton of money available to just throw at things. So I knew that when I made that first investment, I really wanted to be with something that I felt was the right path for me to get on this journey to building a successful business, with someone that I truly believed had been where I want to go, has built the business that I want to build, and can get me on the path to getting the ball rolling and starting to make that happen. So fast forward 1 to 2 years from that moment in time, and I'm still essentially in the same spot. A lot more perspective, a lot more experience, tried a lot of other different things, tried to launch multiple different business models. My latest at that point in time being my Amazon FBA business, but it fell flat. I failed with it, lost some money on it, and now I was at the point in my journey where I was just graduating college, hoping that I could step into full-time position, employed by myself in my own online business, but I wasn't quite there yet. So I had to go back to the drawing board. But this is really where I realized the first instance where ego was starting to creep in and get in my way. Even when I had achieved no success. And I think it's funny to say because oftentimes people think, you know what, maybe ego just comes from people that are ultra successful or people that are successful and confident. But the truth is, I wasn't really achieving much success there. What I did have though, that was a competitive advantage that to me is the most required thing that all entrepreneurs need to have to ever have any chance of being successful online, and that is belief. I knew in the back of my mind that I would eventually figure it out. I knew that I was capable of doing it. But I also knew that I didn't understand how to do it at the time. I didn't really know what pieces of the puzzle to put together and in what order. And I didn't know how to act on the things that I needed to act on to make that happen. So I was faced with a decision. Either I could tell myself, you know what, I got this belief, I know I'm gonna make this happen, I'm gonna continue just to try on my own, learning through my self-teachings, reading videos that I come across online, and hopefully, eventually, I will figure it out. And maybe I will. But I knew at that point in time that I wanted speed. I didn't want to just play the game of when this happens, it happens. I wanted to create this outcome in a shorter period of time. And ultimately, I wanted to create the business for myself sooner than later so I could go full time with that and not have to go back and just work in my family business or go back to the mode of, and not have to just go back to work in my family business. I wanted to build something for me. And I knew at that point, it was time for me to take the money that I had saved up, that I've worked for over these last few years with side hustles along the way and with jobs along the way, and actually start to make those investments in myself to give myself speed, to give myself a plan, and to give myself a roadmap to actually building the business that I want from someone that I do align with, and someone that's been where I want to go and done what I want to do. And that's what I did. And that investment for me, although it wasn't my first investment, it was my first largest investment that was multiple $1,000s to put into a coaching program and training. And it led to a massive realization because what took place after I invested in that program was once I found that person I aligned with, I took the chance, jumped in, and I told myself going into it that I'm gonna take the belief that I have, and I'm gonna pair it with this person that I just put trust into, and I'm gonna follow their lead. I'm not gonna go into this feeling like I already have it all figured out because I know that I don't. I'm gonna go into this taking into consideration the skills that I've built up until this point, trying to use those to the best possible advantage that I can in this new thing that I'm pursuing. But more than anything, I'm gonna put my guard down and my ego down, follow what this coach and this mentor shares with me, follow the plan that he gives me, and execute. And I know that through my action and consistency with that, even if I don't get to massive results in 3 months or 6 months, I'm gonna get to the point where at least 3 months down the line, I'm gonna see, am I at least progressing forward? Do I feel like I'm moving in the right direction? So that's what I did. I went into the program and I told myself 3 months in, I'm gonna reassess, see where I'm at, see where my growth is at as a whole, and then decide from there what the next step is. Fast forward 3 months later, I went on to achieve my first 1K day, my first 5K month, just about 45 days after that, and now here I am 90 days in with a 5K month under my belt, already starting to feel like, man, the dots are connecting. Clarity is coming to life. I'm figuring this out. So I can continue to implement, continue to stay focused and show up, knowing that what I was doing was working. And what it ultimately did is I grew my audience, grew my community, started growing my brand. I was able to tip over and get to my first 10K month. But now this is where I came to a new realization. I'd achieved more success in these 4 months of this year than I had in the last 4 years combined. But now I didn't know how to actually go about repeating what I just did. I somewhat knew what I did to get to that point, but I felt like with me in a 9-to-5 job at the time, just coming off that 10K month, to sustain the action that I did to make that first 10K month happen and repeat that over and over again, it wouldn't be sustainable and it wouldn't be the business that I was really searching to build itself. And this milestone is what led to my next massive realization around this piece of ego, pride, and what we're talking on here in this video. And that is the fact that although I was struggling to figure out how I can repeat this and telling myself, you know what, I've got it figured out up until this point, I just got to my first 10K month, I can continue to do this on my own, I can figure it out. But at the same time, do I want to take the time to figure out all of these things that's up ahead of me and spend months to maybe go backwards rather than keep progressing forwards, when in reality, I can take the money that I just earned, put this into the next investment and invest in someone that can show me now how to get from 10K months to 15K and 20K months, that's been down that road before, that knows what problems are going to be faced, that knows what needs to be done, and that can arm me with that insight with where I'm at right now. And I knew that from that previous large investment, that first one that I just talked on that I made, it showed me the power of putting down my guard, asking for help, and surrendering to that help that I asked for and invested in. And honestly, I think a lot of this stems from what I learned from that first large investment, because it created a ripple effect where I realized that if I choose to surrender what I feel is best for me and what I feel I know, and in turn put down my ego, put down my guard, be willing to ask for help when I'm feeling stuck, when I'm feeling unsure, and when there's unknowns, I can have the pathway, the problems, the challenges, and what to do next laid out in front of me. And I can benefit from that if I'm willing to drop my ego down, surrender to it, follow it, and go all in with it. And that's what I did in the next round and the round after that, to the point where I literally invested over $70,000 in my business in that first year when I hit my first 100K. So essentially I put the majority of all of my earnings back into my business because I knew that every new investment that I made, it was only leading to complete new perspective, new levels of growth, and arming me with what I needed to get to that next level as a whole with my online business. The funny thing was that through that, as I went on to achieve my first 100K year and continue to build off it from there, what I started to realize was that there was people in the circles that I was joining in these programs that I was investing into that I joined at a similar time than they joined. And they would reach out to me and say, hey Blake, I know you joined this program at about the same time that I did. What are you doing differently that's making you work so well? How do you have this figured out? How are you getting the results that you're getting? And I'm here making 2K a month. This is the mindset that we want to get away from. This is the mindset that I once had very early on, that I broke away from when I realized what can happen when I drop my guard, drop my ego down, invest in someone, and follow what they share with me. And what this really comes back to is two things. The only reason, for those of you out here wondering, man, I'm here, I've put in the reps, I've put in the time to develop these skills, and I feel like this person that's also in this program or that I follow online or in my community is at a similar spot, but they're getting way more results than me, and I'm stuck back here at this level. Why can I not be there? Why am I not where they're at? The reason is two things. Number one, either they're doing something that you're not doing, or number two, they know something that you don't know. And that's the truth. And what those two things really come back to is just the simple principle of the fact that we can't go where we haven't gone. If we can't see what's in front of us and we don't know what's to come ahead, it's very hard for us to show up now in the present and act in the way that we need to actually get to that next level, because we don't know what's to come. This is where fear starts to step in. This is where indecision starts to step in. This is where we start to look more at short-term quick fixes to try to solve what we're dealing with now, rather than long-term strategy and long-term focused thinking. And it's also important to understand that everybody out there is at a different level. They all have different skill sets, different perspective, and different experiences than what you do. And we're all unique on our own personal journey. And I think it's super important that we embrace that, fall in love with that, and try to look more inwards than we do outwards. Because although the reason why somebody is a level above you or why you haven't seen the next level of growth is because they know something that you don't know, or they see something that you can't see. At the end of the day, it's more about what you don't know and what you can't see that's in front of you. But what typically happens when we're in this mode is we think that that person's doing one thing better than us. And if we just try that tactic that they're trying, maybe we'll get the same results. We think it's just one tweak or one problem in our business that if we can change it slightly, pivot it towards what they're doing, we'll get to the same results, or we'll get to that next level that we want to get to. But in all honesty, it really comes back to us being able to look internally and realize what we are missing, what we aren't doing, what we can't see. And it doesn't mean that you have to be able to identify and say, oh, I can't see this, or I'm not doing this. But it's actually just coming to the realization that you truly can't see it, or you don't know what's to come in front of you. And being able to be honest with yourself and admit the fact that that is what it is. Because when we're able to admit that to ourselves, we're then able to say, okay, you know what? Now that I know that I don't know these things, or something is missing here, or I can't see what's to come ahead, and it's causing me to not act how I need to now in the present, what I need to do is give myself what I need to have that sight, to have that clarity of what's to come ahead, so I can actually show up now and act like this other person that I'm following, or act like I need to in this mode to get to that next level. And I think this all comes back to looking more internally. We can learn from the outside, we can observe from the outside. We can assess and see, hey, what does this person look like they're doing differently than us? Or what do they know differently than us? But at the end of the day, the truth is it all comes back to us and what we know, what we see, and what we can't see. And I think it really comes down to the core of us being able to be willing to be honest with ourselves on that and give ourselves what we need to get past that. So there's one lesson I'd like to hit home in this video here today for those of you that have stuck around with me to the end on this topic of ego, pride, belief. And it comes back to realizing that every new level of growth that we hit requires a new mindset, a new way of thinking, a new understanding of problems that we'll face, and in turn, new levels of action. And it's easy to not realize this when we haven't seen those levels yet, when we're just at level 1 or just at level 2. But when you've gone from level 1 to level 10 and you have that perspective, you can now see, looking back like me now, how there was a series of different sequences of problems, different challenges that came up along the way that I could not once see. And if it weren't for the mentors and the amount that I invested along the way, I wouldn't have been able to see those in the time that I did see them, and I wouldn't have been able to get here where I'm at now with my business at this point in time that I did in this speed, in this timely manner. And I wouldn't be able to get here at this point where I'm at now with my business in the time that I have. So obviously a lot of the reasons we invest is for speed, but it's also so we don't just stay in the same spot for months at a time to the point where our once ego of us telling ourselves that we can figure it out, we can do it on our own, even if we have that belief, turns into months and years of staying in the same spot to where we even end up, like I've seen in many instances, people walk away and give up because they say, screw this, I'm done with it, it's still not working. The only reason it never not works is because you're not working it. And I know for me, when I started to really take ownership for myself and realize that the only reason I'm not where I want to be with my online business is because of me and because of what I'm not doing, and the fact that I have the ability to control what I provide myself with, support, guidance, mentorship, etc., to arm me with what's ahead, then I can't expect to get to that next level without it. But when I know that, and when I realize that I can put my guard down to that, ask for the help that I need when I need it, when I'm feeling stuck, when I'm feeling like I'm doing circles, and when I feel like I don't know what's to come ahead or how to get past what I'm dealing with now, I know that as a result, I'll never just stay in the same spot for an extended period of time. Because I always have the ability to step out, zoom out, drop my ego down, ask for help, get that support, listen to it, be coachable, implement it, learn from the action that I took, either see the win that came from it or assess and learn and say, okay, this is why I didn't get this result. And now that I know this, I can improve this going forward and do this. But at the end of the day, again, the only reason that you aren't achieving the level of success that you want with your online business now, to me, just like with myself, comes back to what we can't see and what we don't know that's ahead. And we're now living in a world more than ever where information is abundant. It's at the highest level of abundance than ever before. We have AI at our fingertips. We can ask any question, any command, any request, and it can generate it for us on the fly. And we can get new information inserted into our minds in an instant and learn about new things every single day. But just because we have information available to us really quickly and really easily, and we have tools like ChatGPT, Google, other AI tools out there, and we have all this information at our disposal, it doesn't mean that information from a computer-generated system is experience. Information is one thing alone, but experience and hands-on work and getting to that next level, breaking past the problems along the way, that's something that AI can't replace. And I know that with me and the clients that I work with now, both in our group coaching program and at a one-to-one level, the reason that they invest into me and the reason they continue to invest into me and work with me is because of that exact reason, because they know they can't get what I'm sharing with them from an AI tool or from ChatGPT. And the experience that I have is unique to me, that I can share and truly step into their business and show them, hey, this is where I was at when I went from being an affiliate marketer to being a coach. These are the problems that I faced when launching my first coaching offer. This is what you should look out for. This is what's holding you back now. That's something that AI can't spit out and tell you, hey, this is where you're at now. This is what you should look out for. This is what we need to do in the meantime. That's something to me that an experienced human being that's been there, done that, that's walked the walk and talked the talk, can do best and can do above anything or anyone else. Because they can actually look into that other person's business, assess, see where they're at now, see where they want to go, and bridge the gap to getting there. So for those here that have watched through the end, that have enjoyed this video and gotten value from it, that maybe you want to see what it would be like to work with me or my team and get hands-on support from us, taking into consideration our experience and what we built up until this point with our business, so we can help look into your business and show you what's in front of you, the problems that you can expect to face going forward with the level that you're at now, and help you come up with a custom plan to getting to the next level that you're working to achieve, then I encourage you to click the link in the description below this video, reach out, drop me a message, and I'll reply back from there and we can have a conversation so I can get some more clarity on where you're at with your business right now and where you're looking to take things. And if I feel like I can be of help, we can talk from there on what that help may look like, especially with us now opening up and reopening our flagship coaching program that's helped a variety of coaches, creators, affiliates go from random, inconsistent, unpredictable 1K, 2K, up to 5K and 6K months to being at consistent 10K plus months, taking control of their business and actually seeing and knowing what's ahead of them and what they need to do to actually shortcut their path to getting there as well. But ultimately, one of the things we pride ourselves on, both at a one-to-one level in our coaching and a group level of our coaching, is the fact that we encompass both. We know that our students need both levels of support, and it's not just about plugging them into group calls they come in and listen to, but it's also giving them one-to-one personalized support, because at the end of the day, if you aren't getting personalized support with where you're at specifically on your journey, because at the end of the day, everybody's at a different point in their journey. And to me, this is why personalized support, personalized plan of attacks, and actual personalized assessments towards where you're at, where you want to go, what you have in place right now, what's working and what isn't working, is critical to getting to the next level. Because without it, you're just getting a cookie cutter solution that's being applied to multiple people at once. And we all know that each and every one of us are all different. We're all at different stages. Our business is all at different levels. We're solving different levels of problems right now. And that in turn requires different personalized solutions depending on where you're at. So if that's of interest to you, drop me a message by clicking the link below. And if you got value from this video, it would mean the world to me if you smash the thumbs up button, drop a comment below if you have any thoughts, or if you want to share any takeaways or number one takeaway that you got from this video here today in sharing my journey on the topic of what to look out for with ego getting in the way of us building the business that we want. Thanks again for watching. I look forward to seeing you back on the next video very soon.